Discipline brings us. Diets are horrible and a waste of energy. Athlete replies, kind of ironic when the literal waste of energy is actually consuming so much chemical energy in the form of food without using it to move your body that you become obese. Brought to us by Secretly Stephanie. Now, observation, if you go from not exercising much or at all to exercising a lot, you eventually move into a zone where you're constantly battling injuries, big or small. This is a health risk, and it's not morally better than whatever risks you incur by not exercising. Just saying. Titter IH replies. They always take things to the extreme. I can't go from no exercise to exercising 7 days a week. That's crazy. Limit sugar? Everything is sugar. How can I completely cut out all sugar? It's like they purposely set the bar so high that they don't have to even attempt to try and reach it. Kangaroo. Yep, same thing happens when you go from a bit overweight to infinifat and morbidly obese. This is a health risk, and it's not morally better than eating moderately. Brought to us by Sakwan. To my fellow fats, speaking on acknowledging our internalized ableism and fat phobia, have any of you in public space found yourself monitoring your breathing so that the people around you do not judge you for breathing heavily or for being out of breath? PRP replies, this is one of the things that pushed me to lose weight. People would ask if I was okay because my breathing was hard, accelerated, and I'd lie and say it was just the smoking, when I hadn't had a cigarette in months. When you sit and actually think about when you should be breathing hard versus when you actually are, it kind of snaps you out of the I'm a healthy fat person mentality. Snoo habits. Yeah, when you feel you have to answer smoking as the reason you're breathing heavily, instead of the alternative, one would have to reach pretty hard to still consider their weight healthy. From Anxiety. Like, one time I held my breath when I went swimming, obviously, and came up gasping for air. Another time I restricted my food and ended up binging later. Both times my body was taking care of me. Right count. Yeah, but your breathing slows back down to normal rates once you've caught your breath and relaxed. Eating should be the same. If you go a day without eating, it's perfectly normal to eat a lot more the next day. But it's not normal to be eating a lot more every day for the rest of your life just because you ate a little less once. Brought to us by Anxiety.
Let flatness be the guide to what we all need right now. Softness and ability to navigate curves, lots of cushioning to break the falls, safe places to nestle into, comfy places to rest our head, and enough weight to keep us grounded.
Big trans throwaway. Nah, sorry, I'll take strength, endurance, and resilience over any of this. Revolutionary cut. Nah, that takes hard work and effort. I'll just remain fat and complain about mostly everything, and project that negatively onto others who work hard to look after their health and well-being. Lazy, unmotivated, and I blame the companies for making junk food so cheap and accessible. When that fails, I try and pretend to myself being fat is a good thing, instead of actually taking any thought or effort to change. Emergency toe. At least you're not Virgie Tovar. Blaming vegetables, and thinking it's perfectly okay to eat processed crap in excess, and fake food. She has this one post supporting soda. The $67 billion diet industry is a problem, but the $2 trillion processed food industry isn't. Soda kills more people than cigarettes. I dug up the Virgie Tovar post they're talking about. Finally, I think we as a culture conceptualize most things in a flattened way. We cannot look at soda consumption in a vacuum. As we saw in the case of Detroit, in some places soda is safer to drink than tap water. If you have to compare a product to poisoned water to make it sound safe, maybe it's not that great. She continues, I know for people who are broke, soda can be the cheapest option. Except for water. And the cheapest option when you're broke is the only option. You can buy about 5 gallons of purified water for $1.50. That's like 2 cans of soda. My mom constantly tells me about how she uses soda to feel better because she has depression. Ugh, I can't imagine her doctor has positive things to say about that. And I know for me growing up, my grandma packed soda in my lunch because she knew I loved it and she wanted to give me everything I wanted in life. But she had a 3rd grade education and few resources, so soda was an accessible way for her to tell me, you deserve everything you want, which was fudgin' rad for an old school lady. Virgie better be careful, or we might be able to guess where the source of her overeating comes from. Does she see food as love? Is that what's going on? Brought to us by Not Given a Fudge.
If something was natural or normal, you wouldn't have to force people into it.
Do the hokey pokey. Fat activists get mad when they think you're assuming fat people are lazy. Also, fat activists. Physical activity isn't normal or natural. Brought to us by Trans Mormon. History is going to remember weight loss and diets and the BMI 150 years from now, the same way we remember lobotomies and phrenology today. Lithuium replies, they're going to dig up a bunch of skeletons and pulverized knees and compressed spines and put them in a museum with a note about the obesity epidemic of the 21st century. Brought to us by Julian Gray. I've been writing about this in my article about gym culture, but we have an obsession with establishing complete control over our bodies. You can't control your body size. Yes, even with surgeries, still no guarantee of control. I think we forget that our bodies are living organisms. Just like a tree can't control when it's time to lose leaves and change colors, nor can you control the sizes of your body throughout life. Just as nature can't be controlled, nor can your body. White supremacy tells us we must establish control, but that's what whiteness is about. Control. Let go. Your body is a living organism of nature that is connected to you. White supremacy disconnects us, etc., etc. The Swolly Ghost replies, be right back. Gotta go tell all my fit, non-white friends at the gym that they are victims of internalized racism. They're going to feel so stupid when they realize that they've fallen right into the white man's evil plot by becoming so attractive and healthy. Their obese ancestors would be rolling in their graves if they had enough room or mobility. /S. From the Intrepid Boiler. We don't consider weight loss a symptom. We only consider weight gain a symptom. OCR Amazon. Weight loss is a symptom or side effect of tons of drugs. And it's often on the warning label to look out for unexplained weight loss. I'm a Skin Something brings us. Doctors. Being fat causes sleep apnea. Me.
Can I please do a sleep study?
Doctors. Yes, but you can't do it at home, because we don't make the equipment big enough for you to use at your current BMI.
Which is it, LMAO? I'm so fudging done with this medical system.
Ashtrays replies.
Me. Can I do a sleep study?
Doctors. Yes.
Me. So which is it, LMAO?
What did I just read? Snoo Habits. Logic. FatLogic. Earl Grayish brings us. Anyone else feel like this recent obsession with gut health can be just an excuse to be super careful around and restrict food? Feels like eating for gut health is now the new clean eating. Valley Ghoul. I know dairy causes painful stomach cramps and explosive diarrhea, but if you don't eat this pint of ice cream, you're actually fat-phobic and making me feel bad. Powerade. Someone once told me my body needs ice cream because I ate it during a binge. From No Magician.
It's criminal how much regret you feel after eating McDonald's.
Someone replies, nah, y'all just have internalized fat phobia. Get well soon. Planty Cookie Lady replies, oh, that's what's causing the icky feelings. Here's me thinking it was high levels of salt, sugar, saturated fats, and additives with little nutritional value. Dumbwater, instead of regret, I would use the word constipation. Kirsten adds, opposite for me. Just Here to Post brings us. This person's talking about being put on birth control.
Yep, gained 260 pounds because of it. Almost 200 of that was when I put on Nexplanon. Never changed my habits other than to actually increase physical activity.
Of Stories and Songs replies, say, even if this wasn't a preposterous claim, surely a sane person would go and see a doctor at some point that is closer to 20 pounds than 200 pounds of unexplained weight gain. Right? Right? Loki's mama. So you came off it, right? And subsequently lost all that weight? Ramen Noodles brings us, fat phobia is a public health issue. Fatness is not. Proud Unemployment, help! Someone pointed out fat is unhealthy, and now I have type 2 diabetes. This one's brought to us by Delete Bowser History. A cyclist is a disaster for the economy, does not buy the car, and does not have a car loan, does not buy vehicle insurance, does not buy fuel, does not use the services of repair shops and car washes, does not use paid parking, does not become obese. Healthy people are not needed for the economy. They do not buy drugs. They do not go to private doctors. They do not increase the country's GDP. Wait, they might do that. On the contrary, every new McDonald's outlet creates 30 jobs, 10 dentists, 10 cardiologists, and 10 weight loss experts. P.S. Walking is even worse. They do not even buy a bicycle. Someone replies, Wahoo! The ableism and fat phobia of this post is awful. Hardy and Free replies to the first part of that post. The funny thing is that bicyclists are actually great for local economies because they buy more stuff from local businesses. Namely, because they're more likely to stop and browse up and down the main street. Look at this face replies to the second half. Something existing that not everyone can do is not ableist. I can't do motion simulators or VR goggles because of an overactive optic nerve. People using them is not ableist. Brought to us from I'm a Skin something. This is a two-parter. Here's the first post. What to say to your child when someone tells them chocolate is unhealthy? Age 3 to 5. Some foods do a lot of things in our bodies. Some foods do a few things. Some types of chocolate do a lot of things. Some do a few things. Wow. Why would you say something so meaningless to a 3 to 5-year-old? Age 6 to 11. Unhealthy is an interesting word. I wonder what it means. Is the chocolate sick? Will it make us sick? If we only ate it, would it become healthy or unhealthy? What if we only ate broccoli? Yeah, if you only ate chocolate, you would get sick. It's unlikely you would get sick from only eating broccoli, except you'd lose weight really fast. But that's not really an issue because nobody likes broccoli that much as far as I know. Age 12 plus. What makes a food healthy or unhealthy? Who gets to decide whether a food is unhealthy? How do food companies make people want to buy foods? At Kids Eat in Color. I guess chocolate is technically brown and that is a color. Powerade replies, who gets to decide whether a food is unhealthy? Your body. Cathode Yay. Honorable mentions, the FDA, doctors, nutritionists. From It's Codal something. This time it's about cupcakes. How to talk about cupcakes instead of saying they're unhealthy. Age 0 to 3. Cupcakes give us energy. Technically that's true. Age 3 to 5. Cupcakes give us quick energy. It gets used up and then it's gone. Some foods give us long energy. But what happens if it doesn't get used up? Age 6 to 11. Cupcakes give us a big burst of energy, like swinging as high as you can, and then the energy is gone, like falling out of the swing at the top. It's not always gone. Other foods with cupcakes help lower us on the swing. They're making it sound like eating other foods with your cupcakes is bad. Age 12 plus. Cupcakes are fun. Cupcakes also give us quick energy. That crashes after we eat it. Then we need more energy. If we eat a meal right before a cupcake, it helps level out the energy and helps us avoid as big a crash. Can't argue with that one. Jub Jub Understands replies, when I was younger, we had cake and cupcakes on someone's birthday, probably once a month or less. We didn't have to discuss cupcake energy because we knew it was a special treat that we didn't have very often. Now get off my lawn! Brought to us from Anxiety.
Fat phobia is really real. It's a socially acceptable hate crime.
Maleficent Writer replies, I grew up having rocks thrown at my house. My parents facing workplace discrimination and physical threats for being in a mixed-race family. You got told by your doctors to lose some weight to improve your health. That's not comparable. If an overweight person faced physical or actual discrimination, for no other reason than being fat, I would agree. It is a hate crime. But we all know that's not what that post is on about, and they don't understand the heartache of real discrimination. Brought to us by Timber Doodling. Actually, 1,300 calories per day is totally enough. No, a systematic review of research using the doubly labeled water method to assess people's energy needs revealed that healthy adults over age 25 need between 2,500 and 3,000 kilocalories per day on average. People under the age of 25 need about 500 calories more per day than their adult counterparts. Something I won't regret replies. Unfortunately, it would be a bit of a bear to dig back and find the studies, but yes, average intake for US men is about 2,900 calories a day, and women 2,300 calories a day. But then, the average adult in the US is 29 BMI. That's only one short of being obese, and not a bodybuilder. So that's the average intake for maintaining a mundanely fat body. For normal weight men and women, it's 2,000 to 2,500 calories. From Light Up Cosplays.
The fact that we focus on obesity as an epidemic over malnutrition, poverty, food deserts, and a general lack of access to affordable health care for both kids and adults tells you everything you need to know about fat phobia, classism, and capitalism, to be honest.
Kangaroo. But you told me that all food is good food, therefore malnutrition and food deserts don't exist. Also, obesity is genetic, so it can't be related to poverty or food deserts or malnutrition. From H. Blowfish. There are multiple studies showing correlations between high blood pressure and heart disease in fat people is mostly in people who were made to feel bad about their weight. People who did not feel significantly insecure showed much lesser signs. Fat phobia stress is a killer. When we talk about fat phobia, many seem to think the issue is that fat phobia makes fat people feel insecure. No, the issue is fat phobia is a system of oppression that works to marginalize and eradicate fat people. It literally kills us. This is not an exaggeration or hyperbole. Autotelica replies, high blood pressure is a common sign in obese dogs and cats. Who's making them feel bad about their weight? The mean squirrels in the backyard? Midnight Neon. Also, people from Samoa and similar parts of the world that did not have much weight stigma in society, because the attitude was bigger is better, have experienced a catastrophic explosion of high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, etc. due to the sudden introduction of cheap junk food and the resulting increase of an obese population. Similarly, the desensitization to how bad the obesity epidemic has become in America has resulted in an increase of people who fail to realize that they are fat, because they aren't as fat as even fatter people. This has led to an increase of younger fat people suddenly dropping dead. Because they are not concerned whether something is medically wrong with them, they do not get checked out, and realize their 32-year-old heart is taking a beating. Usanka adds, FAs counter that claim, and all like it, by claiming that it's down to Western influences on their society introducing fat phobia. Because if they have access to fast food and processed cheese, they've obviously thrown away all of their societal norms and embraced their new role as Diet America. Sad Soup Slurper brings us. The cruelest groups of fat people are consistently other fat people who desperately want to be thin, and formerly fat people clinging to their thin identity. And of course it makes sense. It's hard to see others live unapologetically in a body you've been taught is inherently wrong. But the issue is not with people who are existing in fat bodies. It's with the system that made you believe you needed to change yours. OSCR Amazon replies, part of living unapologetically means not having the constant need to justify yourself. They're clearly not as confident and unapologetic as they claim. I only have this for WWE brings us.
The dieting community is based off fat phobia, and dieting without exercise sounds like a socially acceptable form of an eating disorder to me.
Jazzy Moontrails. The fat acceptance community is based off of refusing basic health concepts and the inability to control your impulse to shovel food in your mouth until you feel sick day after day, resulting in severe weight gain. Sounds a lot like a socially acceptable form of addiction to me. Ms. BB. That anyone smaller than you has thin privilege, even if they are morbidly obese. Getting larger is acceptable, but getting smaller is not only fat-phobic, but a hate crime against those bigger than you. Finally, don't you dare ask for a smaller slice of cake. Pink Pilates explains before it starts. TikTok nutritionists diagnosing someone with fitorexia, and then orthorexia, all because they microwaved eggs.
Because it's not about health, it's about their appearance. A lot of people are what you'd call fitorexic.
There's actually an ED that describes it, orthorexia. I feel like it's less talked about because it's normalized with fitness influencers.
Orthorexia is much more than just being into fitness or bodybuilding. Microwaving eggs does not mean you're orthorexic.
It's obvious the relationship with food is awful.
Having a lazy day doesn't mean you're orthorexic. It's more than just that, and I never said they were orthorexic.
No, you said fitorexic. Dork of the Plessia writes, imagine thinking microwaving eggs means you have an unhealthy relationship with food, instead of just not wanting to use the stove. Do the hokey pokey. What if it actually is about their appearance? Why can't people want to look good about themselves? I like my body. Makeup? Cool. No problems with wanting to look how you want to look. Hair dye? Cool. No problems with wanting to look how you want to look. Insta filters? Cool. No problems with wanting to look how you want to look. Eating and exercising in ways that don't harm your body and contribute to you looking the way you want, that's a disease. Volcano Penguins brings us, I couldn't lose weight because my estrogen is super high. Estrogen can make someone hungrier, but it cannot cancel out a calorie deficit. My doctor and hormone tests say differently? Right, well, let's pump everyone in Africa full of estrogen and end world hunger then. Ugh, stop spreading misinformation. I actually did rounds of IVF with estrogen treatment, and I was hungrier, but a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit, and I actually lost weight every time. Autotelica replies, it's kind of funny. You've got people who swear they can't lose weight because they have too much estrogen, and you've got another set of people who swear they can't lose weight because they are going through menopause and don't make enough estrogen. Estrogen is a hell of a drug, but I don't know if it's that powerful. Heated Shot adds, both are half true. Messed up hormone balance can cause issues and affect appetite and metabolism, but the effects are not, I can never lose weight. More of an excuse for an extra 10 to 20 pounds that you find hard to lose, not 50 to 100. Alphaba brings us,
Hi Dana, I've been new to Noble Blood and loving it. I've pre-ordered your book. I started listening back to older episodes, and I'm very saddened after the episode about George IV. I'm very fat, fatter than George, and in recovery from an eating disorder. I realized re-recording is probably not terribly feasible, but I would love to see you put a content warning in the episode for specific weights, measurements, and food recording, as well as general anti-fat sentiment. It really makes a difference for me day to day on being able to take care of myself and my family when I encounter this kind of thing with no warning. I also do not support people monetarily if they are unapologetically anti-fat. I hope you choose care and respect.
Sweet Dollette. One of the things you learn in therapy, whether that's for eating disorder recovery, PTSD, or anything, is how to manage your triggers. Anything. Literally anything could be a trigger to someone. Asking a podcast creator to re-record something, or demanding they put warning labels on things because it triggers you, is completely unreasonable. I understand and support trigger warnings for graphic content, but expecting people to include one because of a mention of food is ridiculous and extreme. LatinBot.2. If I could learn to deal with heroin chic model advertising after my recovery in the early 2000s, then I'm confident these people can learn to deal with mentions of someone's weight. Elphaba brings us, when thin people recover from eating disorders, they're seen as warriors. When fat people recover from eating disorders or become fat as a result of recovery, we're seen as failures. Thin folk in recovery get to pursue freedom, while fat folks in recovery are told to aim for balance and moderation. Thin folks in recovery are told not to fixate on their weight. Fat folks are told, we'll start you on a weight loss plan once you're stable. The world doesn't actually want fat people to live without eating disorders, which is why it's so incredibly badass when we do it anyway. Amanda Grace. But weight management is a part of a lot of eating disorder recovery, whether it's restoration or loss. It's you getting help and becoming a healthier, happier person. Doesn't matter the disorder. The goal is for you to be healthy mentally and physically. Suspicious Acadia. Exactly. When I was recovering, my weight was monitored. One girl I knew went the other way and gained loads as she started binging, so they switched tactics. Gaining loads as part of recovery is simply not recovering, but replacing one ED with another. Brought to us by David Byarneston.
Late night take. But at least part of the reason BED as an eating disorder is barely talked about is due to fat phobia.
Dolphin replies, honestly, I think the FA community ignores binge eating disorder a lot more than the average person. I think if I were to ask a random non-FA individual on my college campus, they'd be able to tell me what binge eating disorder is and how it's different from ordinary overeating. Might even be able to tell me about someone in their life whom they're concerned about because they have signs of this condition. But in the FA community, everyone seems to be convinced that they had anorexia before they found fat acceptance. I'm not saying none of them did, but based on the numerous all restriction is disordered eating content on social media, I don't think the community has a good grasp on what a restrictive eating disorder actually is. And HAES dietitians claim that feeling mentally satisfied is just as important as satisfying physical hunger and nutritional needs, a statement which blatantly ignores the possibility of BED being a disorder. Powerade brings us, you can very much lose weight without severe nutritionless restriction. Skull. Most people can't, actually. Most people, I wouldn't go that far. 2 of my best friends, my fiancée, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and myself have all lost weight simply by eating less. It's literally just how most bodies work. Mrs. Fit Mom. Nutrient-dense food exists. The greatest wave brings us internet. Being fat is not genetic. Just exercise more and eat less. Me eating like a pig and sitting around all day while looking like underweight slender man. D-Regs replies, honestly, I never believe it when people are extremely thin and say, like, I eat constantly and never gain weight. I have dated 2 very skinny guys, and have been friends with a couple more very skinny guys. They would constantly say that they eat all the time, and whatever they wanted, and never gained weight. A couple friends and one of my exes would even complain that they wanted to gain weight. I would tell them all, every time they complained about being too thin, eat more. But they refused to listen and legitimately thought they ate huge amounts already. But I dated and even lived with these guys. They would eat mostly 1 time a day, maybe twice, and they were always small to regular-sized portions. But because they still had regular nighttime snacks, still small, and they ordered burgers every other day for their one meal, they made themselves and other people believe that they were constantly pigging out, when honestly, they barely ate. From Losing Madeline. There is zero evidence that long-term weight loss is achievable. All the studies stop after a couple of years. There is plenty of evidence that dieting is actually harmful to your health. Weight cycling, losing weight and regaining is very harmful. Reduced input often means deficits in nutrition, which is harmful. The number 1 cause of weight gain is an attempt to lose weight. Trying to live healthier by reducing your food intake is kind of like trying to live healthier by reducing your oxygen intake. The side effects simply take longer. Actually, if you're getting excess oxygen, reducing your oxygen intake is a good idea. Ancient Matter replies, weight cycling isn't proven to be harmful. Many systemic reviews have found no negative effects to weight cycling. Also, if you just think about it logically, weight cycling is like the whole point of body fat. Losing Madeline. But we're not thinking about this logically. We're thinking about this fat-logically. Not a potato brings us. When you see thin people whining about mean fat people, what you're seeing is someone who wants to steal a life-saving resource from someone in danger, so they can misuse that resource to soothe their feels. Gentle Wham. Fat people over-consuming a life-saving resource, food, causing someone in danger to be deprived, people who are starving, to soothe their feelings? Checks out. Rip Mill brings us, I'm a weight-inclusive provider. This means that I look at my clients as a whole person and make no assumptions about their health based on the size of their body. I understand that metabolically healthy and unhealthy individuals exist across the entire weight spectrum. Weight-centric healthcare uses weight and BMI as a proxy for health. Why is this a problem? Larger body size is an exaggerated health risk. Most studies that find a correlation between weight and mortality haven't controlled for confounding variables like socioeconomic status, stress from discrimination, weight cycling, and inactivity. When you control for these variables, the association between weight and health risks significantly decreases or disappears. OCR Amazon. So they're admitting that people with higher BMI are less active then? Not a dog person, but brings us. Poor thing, kitty should not get that big. A cutie, but it's abuse to me. You don't know that. The owner may be doing everything they can to keep Kitty at a healthy weight, but fighting against genetics, disease, etc. Fat phobia is just as harmful to pets as it is to humans. Fat phobia isn't a thing for animals. Genetics? Look at animals in the wild. They'd die if that were the case. A cat needs ample exercise and appropriate food and amounts of it. No free feeding, scheduled meal times, and at least 30 minutes of active play a day. It's cruelty and neglect, especially to win internet clout over it. Sweet Dollette adds, overfeeding an animal is just as much mistreatment as underfeeding it. As for fat-shaming a cat, well, you can't. Cats don't feel shame about their bodies because they're cats. People need to stop projecting onto their pets. They don't process things and experience the world in the same way that humans do. You won't emotionally damage your cat by putting it on a diet, but you will improve its overall health. Brought to us by Alfaba. A very consistent ED trigger for me, people putting their pets on diets and sharing the way those pets are suffering with restriction. That's how many people just transplant their own poopy fat hate onto other animals, generally for the same reasons they fat hate themselves or other humans. This one time at Jew camp replies, look, no one wants to put their pet on a diet. How do you explain to your sentient, hangry bowling ball that they're being restricted? How do you tell them, Mummy doesn't hate you, I swear. We're doing this out of love. You can't. They are angry and pouty and make their misery known. However, it is the responsible and humane thing to do to overweight pets. And it is indeed still the responsible and humane thing to do to yourself if you are overweight. Our particular bowling ball was 11 pounds when we got him. After 2 years, he was 15. Now he is 13. It took him 2 years to lose 2 pounds. It's not a race. Our vet celebrated our eventual success. It is extra hard because his brother cat needs to gain 4 pounds, and it is torture for us to watch Chunk stare forlornly at his brother every time he enjoys himself. As hard as it is to watch him be miserable, it would be abuse to go back to free feeding. And now, Dechonkers. This first one comes from Lexicon. It's a horse. The first picture is from the 13th month, first day of 2022. I assume. I don't understand these weird European conventions. The second picture is from today. So it's a weird time-traveling picture. It's a picture of a horse, it's brown, it's got a white stripe on its nose. To be honest, I can't tell if it's gained or lost weight, going from the future till now. Sneaky Fallow brings us a picture of their cat. Old Man Gary, proving you're never too old to dechonk, 19 pounds to 13.8 pounds. They're all overhead pictures, so you'd think it would be obvious that the cat was overweight, but it's not in any of these pictures. In every single picture, the cat's black, except for in the first picture where the cat appears light brown. What a strange lighting effect. From Throwaway, Max is dechonking before and after pics. Max is a mostly white cat with a little bit of brown coloration. In the first 2 pictures, he's laying around or eating. In the third picture, he's sitting up on a table and looks like he's in pretty good shape. His tummy pooch is completely deflated now, just skin. He gets mad when we touch it, lol. From Both Conversation, my very healthy Shih Tzu boy. Does anyone know if that's a Japanese kind of dog? The spelling really suggests Japanese. Anyway, it's a white and brown dog with big brown ears. In the first picture, he's sitting on a bed. It's hard to tell if he's overweight or not because the picture's zoomed in so close. And the second picture, he's playing on a rug. Although it's not really clear what he's playing with. In neither picture does he look overweight. And so, another video comes to an end. Extra special thanks go out to Emmett McNally, Story, Rig, Cupcake or Death, and MMC for being top-level supporters. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider clicking like and subscribe. If you really liked it, consider becoming a member. Membership starts at just 99 cents. I'll be busy for the next week, so there won't be another video coming right away, But if I don't get any other videos out, there should at least be another FatLogic video in another 2 weeks.